We are on Cody and the Fountain of Happiness, chapter 21, which is our very last chapter. In the last chapter, we saw that Mew Mew was found, and Cody was very, very happy. Chapter 21, Not Even Cody. Before she went to sleep, Cody wrote 2 notes. She tucked one inside Mom's binder and one inside Wyatt's bike helmet. Then she climbed into bed and catapulted into a delicious sleep. In the morning, Peyton was so happy to see Mew Mew that she took photos with her phone. Then she posted them on the computer and showed Cody and Spencer. She scrolled quick past all the pictures of popular kids laughing and dancing. And then, ta-da, there was Mew Mew sleeping, Mew Mew looking out the window, Mew Mew sleeping, Mew Mew poking at her toy, Mew Mew sleeping, Mew Mew with Cody's finger pointing to her monogram, then Mew Mew sleeping again. Mew Mew had special one-day-only permission to be inside the house. Sleepy from staying up so late, Cody and Spencer watched a movie with Mew Mew, snoozing between them. Outside, it began to rain. If you think that was cozy, you are 100% correct. Pretty soon I have to go home, Spencer said. Cody nodded. Gigi was throwing a party to celebrate Mew Mew's adventure. Everyone was invited, even Peyton. They were going to dance the night away. They planned to raise the roof. I mean home, said Spencer. My parents are picking me up in a few days. Once, going home was all he wanted, but now Spencer's face got very complicated. Sadness and gladness were mixed together. Sometimes when you look at another person, it's like looking in a mirror. That means Cody was feeling the same thing. I just remembered something, Cody said. You never met my pet ants. You mean pest ants. Cody fetched crackers and an umbrella, and the 2 of them went outside. It had been days since Cody had visited the ants, and she knew that they'd be glad to see her. She and Spencer crouched down by the curb. Not an ant in sight. Hello, she said. It's me. Rain tapped the umbrella. It dented the tops of the ant volcanoes. Oh no, what if they thought Cody had abandoned them? Even worse, what if something had wiped them out? Hello? Hello? She should have known. Nothing defeated the ants. 2 popped up. They touched feelers, and then they skedaddled across her toes. They touched feelers again, and they skedaddled over Spencer's foot. They like you, Cody told him. She crumbled up the crackers, and they watched the ants work together to drag a monumental piece back to the colony. I'm going to tell my parents I want to come back, said Spencer. Really? Cody did not trust her ears. Before the end of the summer, I'll be back, amiga. Spencer smiled a brave smile. He looked so nice. Cody touched her forehead to his, and they did a little rub-a-dub. Spencer laughed, and then he did it back. Kind of like the feelers on the ants. Later, after Mew Mew and Spencer had gone home, Cody and Peyton decided to watch the rest of the movie. They'd just settled onto the couch when footsteps pounded up the front steps. Wyatt burst in, hair glued to his head. Raindrops dripped off of his nose. I did it! He punched the air like he had won the Olympics. I dissected a frog. Oh, wow, said Cody. You didn't faint this time? Faint? Peyton tee-heed as if Cody had made a joke. Like Wyatt would ever faint. Wyatt shot Cody a look that says, I will make you faint if you tell her. Oh, right, yeah. But now Peyton pointed a finger at Wyatt's dripping nose. How could you do such a thing? She demanded. I am opposed to dissection, and I am opposed to anything that involves animal cruelty. Well, surgeons have to dissect. Wyatt rubbed his dripping nose. Are you opposed to surgeons? I'm going home to get ready for the party. Peyton flipped her hair. If you think I'm going to dance with you, you can think again. And she marched out the door. Wyatt rubbed his nose. That girl gives me brain pain. Hey, said Cody, that's my job to do. While Wyatt took a shower, Cody curled up on the couch. The rain let up in the sunlight. The color of lemonade spilled across her toes. Cody's eyes drooped, and she was in a beautiful dream. Peyton and Wyatt were dancing the mashed potato together. Gigi was laughing. Mew Mew stood on her hind legs and danced too. For once, Mom came home early, just in time. "I'm ready to party," said Mom. Said dreamy Cody. "I know." "Open your eyes and see a surprise," said Mom. "Huh?" When Cody opened her eyes, real life Mom was sitting right next to her. Pinned to her dress was a name tag edged in gold. "Supervisor, Footwear Department," it said. "Mom, you're head of shoes." "I am." Now Wyatt wedged himself onto the couch too. He smelled like some new non-stinky soap. When Mom heard he'd done his dissection, it was a group hug time. It was even more pleasant than usual since Wyatt smelled so good. And then it was Mom's turn to tell me about her day. When Mr. O called me into his office, he looked so serious I was sure it was bad news. So I decided to be honest. I told him at first how I hadn't been sure I could manage the job. Mom picked up her purse and set it on her lap. I said what kept me going was my family. I showed him the note I found today in my binder. She opened her purse and pulled it out. "Even if I have a new gut, my heart is always the same and it loves you." "Hey," said Wyatt, "I got one of those too." Cody held her breath. She had meant well. Only by now, she knew meaning well was no guarantee. But Mom broke into a smile as bright as her new name tag. "Mr. O and I certainly have an unusual family." Mr. O said I certainly have an unusual family, and I said he was certainly right. And then he said the number one requirement for a good supervisor is handling a million things at once. And then he said I was one for the job. Group Hug the sequel. Mom called Dad to tell him the good news. While they talked, Cody leaned back. She admired Mom's new pin and Wyatt's new smell, and she thought of her new friends, the millions of new cells in her body that her body was making, and how tomorrow was a new day, and who could tell? Who knew what wonders it might bring? Nobody did, not even Cody. The end.